I want to talk a few minutes about some other types of services that all of our panelists are familiar with, because as I mentioned, it's not just about healthcare. There are also lots of other agencies and schools and so forth that kids are getting and individuals with autism are getting. So anybody want to talk about how their healthcare providers have sort of interacted with other services that
we were
being provided?
we were fortunate. Our initial pediatrician, because the office was a big practice. When Pat was little, it didn't work, so we ended up finding a guy that had been in practice for a while and had actually, one of his residency was at Orient when Orient was a institution. Mm-hmm. And so he kind of knew the population in the sense of all developmental disabilities. So he used to do Special Olympics physicals. So he didn't have a bias against folks with disabilities. So when we first started seeing him, he would spend hours with us. And we would schedule our appointments at the end of the day, and we would go in then. And I think that's how Pat got comfortable going and doing the same routine with this doc. But when it came to any services that we needed and anything that I would tell him I was interested in doing, he was always a big cheerleader for the boys. And I don't think just my guys, I think it was all of his patients. So it was, like he had his nurse, who I miss, our doc retired and we had to move on to adult, and it's been really frustrating. I won't even go there. And not bad, I think it's more me than my kids, to be honest with you. It's mom and transitions, and I'm getting older and I'm getting tired of people and the same crap we got to do again after they're this age, but that's another whole story. But with the doctor we had, this Dr. Dowdy, he had a nurse who I called her directly and would say, this is what's going on with the guys, what do I need to do? And she would run it by him, and then either we would come in or she would say, drop off the forms, I'll get them done. And for me, that stress alleviated my stress. So for instance, when you have to do Special Olympics, help me out, guys.
Physical exams.
What other things any kind
county
of form.
board.
The doc, Recreational Unlimited, my guys go to Recreational Unlimited, and it's a packet this thick. And then there's a physical that goes along with it. And as a parent, these papers consume our lives. After 22 years of this, I've got boxes and boxes and boxes and files because and I'm getting rid of them. But you hate to get rid of something that's medical, because if I would have to go back and get that information, I would want to be able to get it. But anyway, she was great at being able to get stuff done for us in a timely fashion. When you're applying for Social Security, oh my God, the form is just obnoxious. If you're applying for Medicaid, you've got to go there and you've got to be able to explain why your kid has a disability and what autism. Back when I was doing things, and these guys might have a little different. Autism was kind of new to the world, and they didn't believe your kid had autism, so you had to have something else going along with it. And I think Sandra could probably attest to some of that. I'm not sure. I don't know Rory, but it's really frustrating because these guys look normal and act normal in a lot of cases. So when you would bring your son or daughter into these offices, so you'd have to have the doctor call and verify that what he has on the paper is true. So it can be frustrating. And I don't know what kind of services you've had to.
I think one of the biggest things that's been effective for us is that I have a team of people around Henry, so we call it a family-centered care team, and Karen's a part of that. So we've had meetings at her office, her pediatric office, and we've invited other team members in so that we can have schools at the table, speech, OT, and my behavioral treatment people, so we can actually look at him from a very comprehensive viewpoint and decide what are things that need to be done. One of the things I've really learned from her is that medication goes hand in hand with what's going on with behaviors. So if there's a behavioral issue going on, we look at all the aspects of why it's going on, and then we bring in the medical and the medication perspective on that to make sure that we're taking the most correct steps to keep him living his most optimal life. So if we see a behavior, we want to figure out why is it happening. Is it medication related or not? And what are the steps we need to take to get him back on track? And I think that's probably been one of the most effective things that we've done is we've incorporated school and speech and OT and this giant team of people that work with him just maybe in one siloed area We bring them all to the table at the same time, and we talk about them comprehensively from all those viewpoints, and then we make a decision and we take a step. And so things happen much more efficiently, much more effectively, and with less pain to Henry. We don't over-medicate, we don't under-medicate, and, you know, we take behavioral approaches, we collect data, and we share data with the med staff so that they can see those things. And I think it's probably been one of the most effective things we have done.